Merry meet and welcome to Let's Talk Queen Magic. I'm Taylor and today is our Witchy Wednesday. And so at the time of this, it is going to be the new moon. And so I wanted to share some ways that we can use magic to bring forward some ideas and maybe some warnings in regards to our intentions for the following month. So I say for the following month, but I'm going to show you two different type of paint blot tests that we're going to do. And so this can be really easy, and I'm going to go ahead and use acrylic paint because I'm really wanting to get that blot situation. You'll see why as we go into this. But ultimately, this is really just to support us as when we set our intention, to give us a little bit more insight into what we can expect from seeing those intentions, and maybe a little bit more guidance around how we can support our intentions as well. Because as always, we are co-creators of this life, and so spirit will do as much as they can, but we need to come to the call as well. Okay, so with that, I originally was going to do two different colors on these, but now I'm being called to go ahead and just use all four colors. And so you can do one color, you can do however many colors you want, but you're just going to go ahead and blot it out, or whatever. You're going to go ahead and squirt it out in just wherever directions you really want it to be, and just really follow your intuition. You can get messy with this. I really encourage you to bring your inner child to it. You may decide that you want to finger paint instead of what we're going to be doing here in a second. You can also use watercolors and just use the act of the water and the brush to really support you in creating the imagery. So this is how I'm called to do this one. And then for this blot test, we're going to do it as the 4 weeks out of the month. So we're only going to fold it 4 times. You can do it whatever feels right for you. So for me, I'm going to fold it first. Hot dog? Hamburger. It's hamburger. Anyways. And then I'm going to kind of squish some of the colors around because that's just what I want to do. And again, I'm encouraging you to just like have so much fun. And then you can open it up or you can just refold it, but I'm going to open it up on this one and then fold it in the other direction. So now this would be hot dog style. I'm so sorry. Camera work is improving, I swear. But the point is that you're just folding the paper and blotting the paint together to support getting imagery. And then since this is a 4-week one, we are not going to get any other creases. So that way you really can label it, and each box will be week 1, week 2, week 3, and then week 4 around things that you can expect in regards to your intentions. And then from there, you're just going to do something that I feel anytime you're being called to work with your intuition or just your subconscious, if we're being honest, is to look for the messages as you're seeing them, and like what certain symbols stand out for you. So for me, a lot of times my imagery is going to be very nature-esque. It happens in almost all of my readings. I get some kind of metaphor that is in regards to animals or the earth and the elements. So part of the reason why I'm saying that is because for this week 1, I'm really seeing like this really looks like the life I was gonna say leaf prints. So they really look like leaf prints to me, and kind of what I'm hearing from that is like I'm really focusing on the details of my intuition, and I'm making some very solid movement plans. And I'm seeing here that I'm not afraid to let matters kind of blend into each other, but I'm still being very aware about like where the different colors are in regards to that. The other thing I'm seeing here is there might be something that is kind of like out of sight, out of mind, that is kind of bothering me though, and I don't really have that much control over because it's not really part of my entity. But for the most part, I'm really trying to bring a lot of my world together and expand within that first week and in regards to my intuition. So that's like how I'm just giving you an example for myself. I definitely encourage you to do this either for yourself, or if you are seeing certain symbols and you're like, you know what, I'm going to take that for my own intuition, then that is perfectly great. I do that too when it is a very massive general reading. And then since this reading is just a little bit more personal, I'm not going to focus too much on each aspect. I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit more insight to that. I am going to draw a point into the fact of I was called to put this orange color here, and it ended up not touching any of them. So something that really tells me that this is going to be a really big message in regards to my intention that I have absolutely no control over. So personally for me, my intention deals a lot with how I'm interacting with spirit and doing what I'm called to do. And so this is kind of confirming more for me that spirit is at the core of everything that I'm working on. And it's just this really great confirmation that I can still continue to move forward. And then there is a little bit more imagery within it that I'm going to take as special messages for myself. But yeah, for instance, especially compared to week 3 and 4, up here we have a little bit of it looks to me almost like penguins coming together. Like and it's just like really beautiful and cute. So what I'm seeing here is like there might be like a stronger friendship developed for me. I don't have a lot of friends, so that's why I'm saying that. But there's gonna be maybe just this great connection that is spirit based, and I'm very much looking forward to that and very excited. So going then, that helps me transition into the second week and know that maybe that connection is actually going to be very prominent towards the end of the first week, and then going into the second week is going to help me go into that. And then I'm not going to go over too much other details. Like I said, this really is just like this is a personal reading on this one for me. I just wanted to point out how you can see different symbols and how things may come forward. So something I'm seeing right here is like a masquerade mask. So I might be hiding certain elements of myself. Something that I personally need to do, and something that you may have wanted to do before you do this, is actually assign certain meanings to the different colors. So this tells me that whatever assignment I put to this color blue is going to be important, because that's going to be the element that I'm really trying to hide, and it's hidden so much to the fact that this element of green is covering the other eye. So it's like you can't even see the mask, and that it might be coming out a little bit more. So yeah, so that's something to look forward to in my week too. And then we come here and there's this interesting negative space right here. And so I always encourage you to look at those negative spaces and see maybe exactly what that could mean. Like for me, that really looks like a butterfly, and that is really comforting because I'm going through a lot of different changes. And so that kind of tells me that everything is going to be okay. And then also something I'll talk about really quick in regards to the center is there's this interesting dip here compared to this like very open widening. So what I'm hearing is like weeks 1 and 3, I might be feeling very close, tight, and like not really being very vocal, while I might be extra vocal and aggressive in regards to my intentions in week 2 and 4. So again, just certain interesting things that you can think about. I'm also seeing like a quail or a little bird right here. And so that's going to be interesting for me to know from spirit in regards to transitioning from week 3 to week 4. And then especially since right here, I kind of see like a mouth. So I'm getting the sense of greed. So maybe that's a message or a warning for me not to get too greedy and to recognize where my abundance comes from, which is always a great thing to do. And then of course we come into week 4. I personally am seeing a zebra through all of the stripes. And I'm also seeing this looks like the most well blended blot out of all 4. So I'm really seeing personally for me that this is going to mean that everything that I really wanted to come together is going to, and I'm just going to be this beautiful zebra. And I have special imagery that goes with zebra, so I'm just going to kind of keep that for myself. But I just hope that this was a little bit informative for you guys around how you can do a 4-week paint blot test, a 4-week paint blot reading for yourself in regards to your intuitions. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and put this to the side, and then I'm going to show you the second one. Okay, so you're going to start this exactly the same way, and you actually can do both of these too if you want. So this one, again, is going to be very same concept. You can use just one color, you can use multiple colors, maybe assign your colors ahead of time. No, I'm still not doing that as we go into this next one, and I'm just going to spend some meditative time after to get the messages that I need. Ultimately, this video is more to showcase this to you guys, so definitely let me know if this was supportive below. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this. So same thing, you're going to start and just kind of really follow your intuition in regards to maybe how, well, that definitely isn't follow. Okay. Sometimes what you see in your mind's eye, like a clear straight line going across a page, does not happen with your materials. I just argue that that's what's meant to be, because now I'm inspired to do clear-cut lines in that way. So anyways, let me go ahead and quickly finish this. Also, don't feel the need to be rushed yourself if you're like, oh, I only have 15 minutes to get this done. You can always fold it and then come back to it, you know? So just do what you can, however you can. Here we go. There we go. Okay, so this one, I ended up doing a lot more paint for it, and that might be because we're going to be folding a lot more, and so maybe my mind wanted to do it that way. But as you go into it, again, you're just always following your intuition. So first things first, we are going to fold this hot dog style. Okay. Okay. And then I'm just going to smear that really, really quickly. And then from this one, I'm going to go ahead and fold this into, hamburger now. Yes. Okay. And so you may think this is 4, this is still just 4. And then we're going to still squish it a little bit, which will be interesting because technically no new paint touched it. But as we add different pressure, new symbols, and different like grooves may be forming. Okay. And then we're actually going to fold it one more time in hamburger style. Okay. And then same thing. You might feel if you use a lot of paint, it coming through. If you get a bubble burst, have some have some bamboo towels on hand, I guess. Yeah, definitely make sure that you are in a place where you're okay with getting slightly messy. Arts and crafts. All right, and then after that, you're just gonna go ahead and open it up. Oop. Yeah, I definitely used a lot of paint. And so very interesting. So for this one, it is harder for me to open it. So that kind of tells me that I might have some unexpected difficulties in regards to what we're putting forward for this reading. Okay. So for this one, you can do it a couple of different ways. I'm going to read it in this format now. You can do this with the 4-week, but you also can read it differently. So however your intuition wants to orientate the paper is how you're going to want to do it. And then you can number the boxes from there so that you can refer to it back to it often and just remind yourself what was what. And so with this, we got 8 boxes, and so it's still a month ahead reading, but instead you're going to be doing it based off of the moon phases. So if you're using the lunar energies and you're not necessarily familiar with them, something too that you can do is put down some keywords and phrases to help remind you exactly what those symbols may be supporting. So just a very quick overview, we will have the new moon in the first box, and then that, let me write this down first. Okay, so for that, I'm going to turn it around just so that I can show you guys the wording, but this for me still orientation is going to be facing this way. Yeah. So in our first box, we are going to have the new moon, where this is going to be all about your intentions and planning. So this is going to be where Spirit is going to guide you in regards to the ideas that you can set in place to move forward. And then that's going to, and by the way, between each phase typically is about 3 days. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about these, when you're working in this kind of energy, because that can mean that 3 days is a very short amount of time to just, all you have to do is maybe send out an email. Maybe all you have to do is make contact with that one customer in order to set certain things in motion. So just kind of keep that in mind in regards to these when you're using these type of readings and the amount of time that you're giving yourself to complete something. So with that, then next we would go into the Waning Crescent. And this is going to be all about the building phase. So what are those small, easy steps that you took, and how are they paying off for you? And then the first quarter is going to be that half moon where we start to look at the adjustments. So it's a great time to see what part of those ideas and plans have already been showing some success, and maybe seeing some ways that you might need to change how you were going forward with your intentions. Also a good time to just come back into alignment in regards to what you're working towards. So this typically is 1 week after the new moon. And then we do have the Waning Gift, and so this is going to be more about your renewed efforts after those adjustments that you made. So it's kind of just adding into the energy and getting that train rolling, right? Like the Waning Crescent is like you had to heat up the engine, and then you had to like adjust exactly how much you put in the engine, and now you're able to really get that train going down the tracks. I don't know why steam engine needed to be the example, but there you are. And then that brings us into 2 weeks after the new moon, which is the full moon. And so this one, I think it's really important to understand. A lot of people will put the fact of like when they wanted their intentions to be realized at the full moon. But the main thing that you're doing is actually realizing your intentions for the whole month. So there's going to be some successes and disappointments. And that's the actual energy of the full moon, is that you want to recognize where you have succeeded and where you have failed, and hold both of those close to your heart and release them into however you see your faith, and understanding that you did the best that you could with the time that you were given, and you learned the lessons that you needed to. And so that's why we celebrate times at the full moon, because it's meant to be a time that you celebrate all that you were able to do and all that you weren't able to do. So I just thought of something like a great reason to celebrate a disappointment is maybe you wanted to learn a new language, but instead you've been so busy expanding your business in a different direction you hadn't expected. That is so great. That is something that you would go ahead and celebrate, even though technically with your intentions that would be considered a disappointment. And so it's this really great way to naturally adjust yourself. And again, this is just 2 weeks after those intentions. So the next, that does bring us into the waning gift. So a lot of times then this is going to start into the energies of release. And so anything that really didn't serve you during those first 2 weeks are now going to be highlighted as something for you to let go and work through. A lot of times this is when people work on shadow work or self-development. And so with that, that's why you're seeing the waning gift. It's just the initial release and it's easing into the process. So sometimes it takes some mental efforts to work into it. So it's not always just like, let me go ahead and get rid of this really big thing right now. Like maybe you just need to set up a day to get rid of that really big thing. Or maybe you just need to look up methods and ways to get rid of it. I don't know. I'm imagining like someone trying to move armoire is the word coming through. I wanted to say wardrobe because I wasn't sure how to pronounce the other one, but here we are. Anyways, I'm feeling really good, so I hope you guys are too. I hope that is very much the energy of today, and that's why this is just here. But anyway, so then you go into the last quarter. This is also a half moon, and so this is, again, adjustments. If you see a half moon, typically you can always just say, is it waxing or waning? No matter what, it's just a time to review your goals and intentions and kind of where you're at, and just make any changes as you need. So, for instance, maybe over those 3 days you hadn't set up what you needed to, like you didn't find the time that you needed to I'm hearing like maybe you needed to read an article in order to prepare for a class or a presentation, and you didn't have the time to do that. So then your adjustment is, okay, well then I'm going to put this in my schedule right now and make it a priority. So that's like an interesting way that you can make an adjustment over something in regards to needing to prepare a little bit and releasing. So because you kind of have to release whatever mentality you had on your time and schedule that didn't allow you to make that choice to read that article. I don't know, that seems to be for someone, take it how it resonates. But then finally, of course, we go into the waning crescent. And so something really great too is right now our moon phases are very much associated with the beginning and ending of the month. At the time of this recording, this is for the month of March, and we actually have 2 new moons this month. And so on the 31st is the new moon. And so it is, by the time you come to this waning crescent, it will literally be at the end of the month. So this is a really great time to practice this kind of reading and maybe adjust your calendar or your internal energies to that of the moon if that's something that you're called to do. So definitely take it how it resonates. You may be a sun baby and you're like, no, I rise and fall with the sun. I don't wax or wane. And that is perfectly fine. Definitely, again, just follow into however your energy best calls to you. Anyway, sorry. So with the waning crescent, then that is going to be your final release or purge. So anything that really is not serving you, that's going to be the moment to just let it go. So you're going to let go of any limitations, doubts, or fears that have been holding you back. And then it's really going to amp you up to going back into that new moon phase where you're setting intentions and planning again. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that there. These were just a couple of different ways that you can move forward in regards to divination and setting your intentions and just being a little bit more mindful as you go through this life and connect with spirit. So I want to thank you guys again for being here. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Do not forget to comment below, gain some support from a like-minded community, and I'll definitely see you guys next time. Blessed be.